this meeting of the Howell Township Council to order. Diane, will you please read the opening statement?
This meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided in the manner prescribed by law. This agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken. I'll begin with a roll call. Councilwoman Fisher? Here. Councilman Gager?
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Nadell?
Here.
And Mayor Berger is absent this evening.
Is there a need to go into executive session tonight?
Yes, there is, Deputy Mayor. We have matters to discuss, including potential litigation, attorney-client, and some ordinances.
May I have a motion to go to exec?
Motion to go into executive session?
Second. Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nadell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go to exec. Time is 7:05. I'd like to reconvene the meeting.
I'll begin with a roll call. Councilwoman Fisher?
Here.
Councilman Gager?
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Nadell?
Here.
Mayor Berger is absent this evening.
Now could all stand for a pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Go through the acceptance of minutes for previous meetings. May I have a motion of acceptance of the minutes for June 11th, 2024?
Motion to accept? Second?
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nadell?
Abstain.
Thank you.
Move on to reports of township officials. Mr. Clark?
Just a couple of quick things. So first of all, our 4th of July celebration will be held this July 2nd at Soldier Memorial, 5 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. There's going to be a lot of really good stuff happening, so everybody come out. There's going to be buses running from middle school north and south if anybody needs transportation to the event. Pickleball will be open. We are doing a ribbon cutting this Friday at 9 a.m. We'll put a post out on Facebook tomorrow with some more details about it, but we've gotten a lot of positive response, so we're looking forward to it. It was part of an overall project at Deerwood, so we started by sort of fixing up the roller rink, and then the other one we decommissioned. It's now 2 full-size basketball courts, a kid-sized court and a half court, and then we have pickleball where the old skate park is. After the 2nd of July event, we're going to be having concerts in the park, so you can check our website for more information about that. We've got a few more grants that we are applying for. We've had some pretty good success this year with it, so we'll keep you posted on that. And then pretty soon we're going to start working with our engineers on designing the Echo Lake Playground. So good stuff coming up.
Thank you. Mr. Howard?
Manager Clark covered it all, so I have nothing else.
Any legal updates?
Yes, I have one. I want to give the council and residents information that your tax bills might be a little late this year. Right now, the governor passed some legislation that allows the school boards to increase their budgets after they've already been passed. There is a meeting, I believe, on July 17th from the Howell Township Board of Education where they will be considering increasing their tax levy. So you might see your tax bill go up from that. We have no control over that. As soon as we know more, we'll let everybody else know, but your rates might change based on that.
Anything, the clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
I'd now like to open the floor for a hearing of citizens and public comments.
Each person shall first give their name and address to the clerk. The council should be addressed as a collective body and not as individual members. Each person shall have one turn to address the council, and comments shall not exceed a total of 5 minutes. Speakers shall be notified when their time has run, and no time extension shall be permitted.
Peter Phillips. Just state your name and address for the record. and
Peter
you can
Phillips,
speak.
120 Moses Milch Drive. Hello, members of the council and Deputy Mayor Nadell. My name is Peter Phillips, and I live at 120 Moses Milch Drive in Ramtown with my 5 children, wife Bridget. I grew up in Belmar, most recently residing in Bradley Beach, and my wife grew up in Ocean Township, formerly residing in Belmar. We purchased our house in 2019. We chose Howell Township because we heard from friends that it's a great place to raise a family with an amazing school system and open wide spaces, something we weren't used to while living in shore towns. Within the past year, us and our neighbors have started to notice a steady decline in morale within the neighborhood. The new trend of single-family homes being sold and purchased under LLCs with the sole intention of renting to multiple families is devastating our small community and making it a very undesirable place for young couples to start families and raise children. In talking with some of the renters, they are also receiving government subsidies in order to help pay for the overinflated rent payment, which is in most cases is double what the landlord's mortgage payment is. A little background about me. I'm a home builder who has renovated a number of multiple unit single-family homes in Asbury. A few of these houses were built in the early 1900s and at some point converted to multiple apartment dwellings in compliance with local laws. This allows for people to safely live in separate units. These properties are zoned as multifamily apartment buildings with insurance costs to reflect that. What is happening in my little neighborhood and all around Howell is on the opposite side of this legal dwelling. Multiple families in a single house with no privacy or separation lead to an overcrowding problem. State law allows one-person bedrooms to be 70 square feet, with each additional person in the same bedroom needing 50 additional square feet. I feel as if these conditions are not being met based on the volume of people living in some of these houses. If the renters refuse to open the door or work late hours, it is impossible for code enforcement to accurately see if these guidelines are being met. Without being certain that renters are following this criteria, we can only assume that unsafe, crowded living conditions persist. Increased traffic in our neighborhood has become a major issue as well. Recently, people driving cars fly down the street at speeds over 40 miles per hour. The speed is clearly marked at 25, it being a residential street. Many young families in my neighborhood have small children that like to play in front of each house. Something else that needs to be discussed is landlords that are failing to maintain their properties. Overgrown grass and garbage present from the street is an issue that may discourage new home buyers to the area and possibly one day bring down the property value of the residents living in the vicinity of these code violations. Few landlords take these seriously and just rack up the penalties. Me and my fellow neighbors put a lot of time, money, and effort into not just maintaining our properties, but going above and beyond, making sure our community is aesthetically pleasing. Another thing to mention is infrastructure of our small community that was not originally built to deal with the heavier loads recently applied. Sewage, roadways, and electrical grid, just to name a few. This will lead to future issues down the road with overuse. Lastly, and most important issue facing our town moving forward is the school system. With the recent influx of new students, I fear our children are getting a subpar education. Howell, once touted as one of the best schools in Monmouth County, is falling victim to overpopulation. There's a vast amount of new students stepping into our school system that need more help with speaking English. There is not enough ESL teachers to accommodate, leaving this issue open-ended. The teachers are not even able to devote enough time and attention to all the students, making it a bad situation for everyone. Me and my wife have been dealing with some issues at home related to this topic I am speaking on. We have a 12-year-old son who attends middle school south. This school year, he has been targeted and bullied by a group of students of Spanish descent. As I said earlier, the great school system for the kids was one of the main reasons we moved here in 2019. Our son started school during COVID. Being that everything was remote at the time, it was really hard for him to make new friends. There were 4 separate incidents this year with my son being bullied by new kids at the school. First, he was chased on his bike. The second was he was chased in the hallway at school. And the third, he was pulled off his bike riding home from school. All of these ended without incident. The fourth and final happened 2 weeks ago before school was over. My son was walking through the hallway on his way to class when he was assaulted and kicked by a boy in the same group. This time he defended himself. Both he and the other student missed the last week of school, which really upset him. The next day was the day of awesomeness, a day him and his friends were really looking forward to after a long school year.
Mr. Phillips, I'm sorry, but your time has ended. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come up to speak? State your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Domenico Coletti. My address is 379 Buckaloo Road. So, first off, good evening. I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration tonight. It's very important to my wife and I that we have our thoughts and our concerns be heard by you, and for providing us that opportunity, we're thankful. Like I said, my name is Domenico Coletti. My wife and I are former residents of Howell Township and soon-to-be future residents of Howell, being as we just purchased the property at 379 Buckaloo Road, which is why we're here tonight. For this property, we had to obtain a variance in order to build, which we were granted resolution on at the beginning of this year. And as part of that resolution, the zoning board waived our requirement to construct sidewalks and curb due to the very rural character of our location. The property is located in an extremely rural part of Howell, where sidewalks are neither practical nor planned for the foreseeable future. There are no sidewalks anywhere near our home, and because of how rural the area is, there likely never will be. So because it is the land use office's responsibility to ensure the proper use of land and to protect the integrity of the master plan, they felt that sidewalks in our specific location would undermine the integrity of the master plan itself, because this area is zoned for and meant to be kept rural. So although it was within the land use office's power to waive our need to construct sidewalks and curbs, it was not within their power to waive our need to contribute to the sidewalk trust fund. And that's why we're here before you today, because it is within your power to do so. Now, while my wife and I understand and support the township's efforts to enhance infrastructure and safety, contributing to a fund for sidewalks that will never be built in our area feels both disproportionate and burdensome. Like I said, we purchased this property at the beginning of this year, and we haven't started building yet because, frankly, we haven't had the money to do so. Every further expense is a considerable burden on us, especially the $4,200 that the town is requiring us to pay into the sidewalk fund. We kindly request for your consideration for an exemption or an adjustment to this contribution for our unique circumstances. As representatives of Howell Township residents, we ask for your understanding and support to ease our financial strain and to help enable us to thrive in the Howell Township community. And that's something that I don't know if you guys can give me feedback on how to pursue, to go through the proper channels of actually having something for you guys to go through a vote on, but it's something I'd be very interested in hearing your comments on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and speak? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close comment, public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Before we turn to professionals, does anyone from council have any response to the public comments?
I'd just like to address the gentleman who talked about the schools. We have no say in what goes on in the schools. We have two school teachers up here. As far as the problems that your son has been experiencing, the school's required by law to handle that and handle it in as a HIB incident, and you should talk to them about that. We have nothing that we can do about that up there. Okay. Yeah, I think our professionals are going to address what you talked about, because we've been talking about it also. That's all I got.
Anyone else want to address the speakers?
I would, just the same as Councilman Gager said, I would urge you to attend school board meetings and express your concern. They're important.
Yeah, I'd like to address Mr. Phillips as well. I agree with most of what you said up here. I got small children in the school system as well, and I see what's going on in the schools and how the redistricting's going to be affecting who's in the classrooms and who's going to be getting more attention, less attention than other students. And again, that's an issue that needs to be addressed through the school board and the school administration. But on the township end, we do have some ordinances that are going to be set to be adopted tonight that are going to address those other issues that you did mention. As far as Mr. Coletti, I know we spoke a few times via email, and I will, myself and the rest of the council will take your comments tonight under advisement. Professionals, do you have any response to the comments?
Just on the housing issues, so obviously we know that there's some housing issues out there, and we've talked about it, so if I'm a broken record, I apologize. We do have 2 ordinances on for tonight. The main one is dealing with our inspections of rentals. Right now, it's only when there's a time of tenancy change. We're updating that to be in there once a year. That's for every unit in town. We feel that some of the, let's be honest, some of the nonsense that goes on, where we give a CO, we leave the property, and drywall's moved in the next day, and they're framing out rooms in a garage, something like that. It's unacceptable. We wind up having to chase them for it, and we do it. But if we're in there next year, then they're not going to be able to get away with that. And if they try and do something that permanent, it's not going to last for long, or they're going to, you know, if they're in there doing construction and deconstruction every year, then we'll catch them at that. But this ordinance should really help in terms of tightening the grip a little bit, being able to get in and see those changes. Those are the ones that are causing the overcrowding, causing the potentially unsafe conditions, and we want to make sure that we're seeing those.
Yeah, so just to key off what Mr. Howard was saying, they have teeth. So it's part of a suite of ordinances that we've passed since October of last year. So, you know, we have the tools, and we're going to go in and we're going to find the stuff. You know, Mr. Phillips isn't the first resident of Moses Milch who we've heard from. I know Felicia and Vinnie were here at the last meeting, and they have echoed his concerns. And we're going to do everything we can, because when you do move into a neighborhood, you expect a certain amount of quality of life. You don't expect to have some sort of boarding house or something akin to that popping up next door, and then all of a sudden what you thought was a quiet neighborhood is no longer that. So we're going to enforce this. We're going to go after people. We're going to pull COs. We're going to go into freehold court, into Superior Court. We'll get injunctions if we need to. We're going to make sure that quality of life is maintained in this town. We also, as part of tonight's ordinances, have the ability to fine or create penalties for landlords if they have to vacate their tenants as a result of remediation work that's necessary. Not only will they have to pay the tenant 6 months' rent, the tenant has the ability to place a lien on the house for that. The same amount should come to the township as a penalty. And then on top of it all, if it happens more than once that there is an illegal rental, then we can work with the schools to force the landlords to start paying tuition for every student that is registered in that particular dwelling. So that's substantial money. It's a real number, and we intend to take charge of the situation so that people can live their lives here in peace and quiet.
And for Mr. Phillips, if you have specific properties and you're seeing a trend to when that overcrowding is occurring, let me know. I have been authorizing overtime, just without question, almost to my code enforcement officers. If there's nighttime issues and we have some backing to know that there's something there, issuing them to go out either first thing in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock before people leave for work, or at night after they get home to try and observe some of the overcrowding. In terms of the family definition, I've said it before, we don't have a lot of teeth there. If they are using the house as a single-family house, even though that term single-family, we have something in mind. If they're using common kitchen, common living areas, and bedrooms with different groups of people, technically it's not something that code enforcement can get involved in. Property maintenance, we've actually started, and on the agenda tonight in the resolution, one of the resolutions is a lien to be placed on a property. We mowed their grass. It was a long-standing dispute with the owner. We knew it wasn't going to get done anytime soon. Neighbors had enough, so DPW mowed the grass. We're placing a lien on the property. Property maintenance issues of that ilk, we can now authorize DPW to do some of that work and put the lien on. So if there's property maintenance issues that just aren't getting resolved, let us know and we can look into doing that as well. Like Mr. Clark said, we had really in the last year, higher minimum fines, revocation of ordinance of COs, a lot of different tools and ordinances we're putting in place, and it's there. We're using them, and we're hoping it's going to really put a dent in this.
Yeah, we'll hire more people if we have to. We're going to analyze our needs, and we're going to make sure, you said, that we maintain order and peace and quiet. People live here for a reason, and I'm sorry that this is happening, and we're going to take control of it, and we'll, like you said, we'll start yanking COs, so pretty straightforward.
Matt, I have a question. We've been talking about this for 2 years. Every time we have a meeting, we talk about it. And I know that we've been tacking on and tacking on and tacking on. Eventually, the tide is going to turn. But this comes up every now and then, the legality, according to state regulations, of how many people can actually live in a house. You know, when it comes to unrelated people or square footage or bedrooms. And just for a point of education, I know you're up on that. Would you just please
Sure, and
explain to
Mr.
everyone?
Phillips had it right. It's, we use state housing code.
Because we've been down this
Yep.
road. It's the first question that we've all asked.
So state housing code dictates that, and it's, you need a minimum of 70 square feet for the bedroom. As long as you have that, then it's 50 square feet per occupant. So, every 50 square feet, if you have a 150 square foot bedroom, that's 3 people. And I know somebody's probably thinking, well, 70 plus 50 plus 50. That's not how it reads. It's 70 square feet is the minimum for a bedroom. Every occupant needs 50. So a lot of the houses in Candlewood have maybe a master bedroom of close to 200 square feet. That's 4 people. Bedrooms could be 100, maybe the biggest third bedroom is 150. You get into the 9, 10, 12 people very quickly. There's overcrowding beyond that. Yes, that's easy. If we go and see that, boom, it's done. The issue becomes, you know, there's loopholes. You go over, you see 12 people, well, they're staying just for the day. They're not here, they're not living. We've all had 25 people over for a party. We've all had maybe some extended family stay, and maybe we've even ourselves gone over those limits. There's those types of excuses that it's a draw on code enforcement. Let's be honest, because now we have to catch them over multiple times to say, hey, you know, you're lying to us. We know a lot of times what's going on. What we know and what we can prove in court are 2 totally different things, and we have to be careful to make sure that we are going after what we can prove in court, and that takes, unfortunately, a lot more time than saying, I know what's going on over there, get out, tomorrow you got to be out. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think also if we put people out, we're responsible for them too. aren't we?
Potentially, yes, depending on the circumstances. We
So
could be responsible for the
ideally, we want to
relocation.
get the landlord. to
Yes.
put- And we've had that happen already where we've been come down on people and they put everybody out and sold.
And believe it or not, yeah, or they'll occupy themselves, the owners. We've had dozens of eviction processes started based on our code enforcement actions. Eviction takes 90 to 180 days. So that's the time where obviously it looks like nothing's happening. It is moving incredibly slowly, but there is resolution coming, and that's actually happened dozens and dozens of times in the last year that I could tell you. Switching gears to sidewalks before we wrap up. So obviously this is an ordinance that we've had for a couple iterations. The idea for the ordinance is that sidewalks are required by ordinance. The planning board or zoning board can grant a waiver from placing the sidewalks, but all that waiver does is say that in lieu of the sidewalks, you have to place the equal amount of cost that the sidewalks would take to install, which is $7 per square foot, and place it into a sidewalk trust fund. That trust fund acts as a capital fund for the township that we can then install sidewalks where they are needed. So we are a very varied town. We have apartments, higher density housing, low density housing, rural areas. That the ordinance has to the ordinance exists. It's not just for one area, it is for the whole town. That's why that's there, is if we don't need the sidewalks in a specific spot, the idea is that that fund can get built up. We are getting sidewalk requests like you wouldn't believe. Like every week we're getting a new street that somebody wants a sidewalk on. They're not cheap. And the fund applies to the developers, whether it's the big warehouse, the big commercial site, or if you do need a variance, that is part of the ordinance. It is just like any other residential design standard. Your right-of-way dedications are required at that point, right-of-way widths, there's a lot of different things that go into it, and one of them is the sidewalk. We changed it a few years ago to exclude minor subdivisions. and minor site plans. So that's how the ordinance sits now. When you do need a variance for a new construction, it is applicable. It does serve a purpose. It serves the township's overall good. It is part of the master plan. We don't recommend any waivers. I've spoken to Mr. Coletti and kind of expressed that as well. Obviously, he has every right to come and ask for that. I would be careful because I think every developer, if we do grant a waiver, is going to seek it. And it may or may not make sense all the time, but they're going to seek it, and you're opening Pandora's box a little bit.
Thanks.
Move on to comments by elected officials. Start with Councilman Fisher. Councilman O'Donnell.
No, I think administration spoke about all of the upcoming events. You can always go on the Howell Township website and just for recollection of dates and times. But July 2nd, from 5 to 9, not only fireworks, we're having music and vendors, and it's really for the full family. So I would encourage you to take advantage of some fun time with your family, because all ages are going to enjoy the evening. So please come out.
Councilman Gager.
I'm looking forward to the Amish Outlaws. I hope the weather holds out.
Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to vote on any of the items separately?
We have 3, don't we?
Deputy Mayor, we are going to be polling Resolution 24-247, authorizing an agreement with Howell First Aid. They're not ready to enter into the agreement, so we are going to pull it until we can iron out a few more details.
May I have a motion to approve consent agenda consisting of resolutions R24-235 through and including R24-248A, with the exception of 24-247.
So moved?
Have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Gager.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nadell.
Yes.
Thank you. The consent resolutions pass.
May I have a motion to approve resolutions R24-249 through and including R24-251?
Motion to approve resolutions 24-249 through resolution 24-251.
Second?
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Gager.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nadell.
Yes.
Thank you. The resolutions pass.
Move on to unfinished business. Adoption of ordinances, ordinance 24-20, ordinance setting forth and amending and supplementing the salary range schedule for the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Howell. Public hearing on this ordinance is now open. If anyone wishes to comment on this ordinance, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-20?
Motion to adopt ordinance 24-20?
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Gager.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nadell.
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
Ordinance 24-21, ordinance amending Chapter 150, Fire Prevention, Article 1, Fire Prevention Code, Section 3, Establishment and Duties of Local Enforcing Agency, per recommendation of Township Bureau of Fire Prevention. Public hearing on this ordinance is now open. If anyone wishes to comment, please come up. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public?
Motion to close public?
Second.
All in favor?
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-21?
Motion to adopt ordinance 24-21.
Have a second?
Second?
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Gager.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nadell.
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
Ordinance 24-22, ordinance amending Chapter 139 Fees, Article 10, Fire Service, Sections 17, 18, and 19, per recommendation of Township Bureau of Fire Prevention. Public hearing on this ordinance is now open. If anyone wishes to comment, please come to the podium. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public?
Motion to close public.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-22?
Motion to adopt ordinance -24-22.
Have a second?
Second?
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Gager.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nadell.
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
Ordinance 24-23, ordinance authorizing traffic enforcement upon real property known as Block 141, lots 13.01 and 14, in accordance with the request of the property owner. Public hearing on this ordinance is now open. If anyone wishes to comment, please come up. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-23?
Motion to adopt?
May I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nordell?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
Ordinance 24-24, an ordinance of the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 178 of the Township Code entitled Housing Code Rental Property. Public hearing on this ordinance is now open. If anyone wishes to comment, please come to the podium. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-24?
Motion to adopt ordinance?
Have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nordell?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
Ordinance 24-25, an ordinance of the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 139 of the Township Code entitled Fees. Public hearing on this ordinance is now open. If anyone wishes to comment, please come to the podium. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-25?
A move to adopt ordinance 24-25?
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nordell?
Yes.
The ordinance is properly adopted.
Ordinance 24-26, an ordinance of the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, authorizing an outdoor advertising sign lease agreement with Premier Media LLC. Public hearing on ordinance 24-26 is now open. If anyone wishes to comment, please come to the podium. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public.
May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-26?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2426?
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nordell?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
Ordinance 24-27, an ordinance of the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, authorizing an outdoor advertising sign lease agreement with Premier Media LLC. Public hearing on this ordinance is now open. If anyone wishes to comment, please come to the podium. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public.
May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-27?
Motion to adopt ordinance -24-27.
May I have a second?
Second?
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nordell?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
Ordinance 24-28, an ordinance of the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, authorizing an outdoor advertising sign lease agreement with Premier Media LLC. Public hearing on ordinance 24-28 is now open. Anyone wishes to comment, please come to the podium. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-28?
Move to adopt ordinance 24-28?
Second?
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nordell?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
There are no new ordinances to introduce at this time. The next regularly scheduled council meeting will take place on July 16th, 2024. Executive session begins at 6 p.m., and regular session will begin at 7 p.m. Seeing no further business before the council, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.